Hey, welcome to another episode of CultureCast with host Dustin Homan. Today, Dustin's going to be talking with Aster Bekele, in which she is from Ethiopia. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to another episode of CultureCast with Dustin Homan. Dustin, I can't tell you how many times, but this is my favorite show of all the shows that we do.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Patrick. And this show is so good because of the guests that we have on who just expose us to some of the incredible cultures and different places around the world. And as I've said in the past, we're filming this, hopefully coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I just think this is a great time to be talking about traveling to other places, as hopefully we'll be able to do that soon. So Patrick, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, Ms. Aster. Aster, thank you for joining us today on CultureCast, and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Dustin, for inviting me. Be very happy to talk about me. My name is Aster Bekele. As I said, I have been running a farm, a 4-H-based, theme-based farm for 17 years. We do a lot of STEM teaching. I worked at Eli Lilly and Company and research. Like I did a lot of insulin and bone biology research. My background is in chemistry. Graduated from IUPUI with a Purdue degree. And I took my early retirement in 2007 to run this urban farm program full time because it took off and it's been very much favorable projects for a lot of the urban youth.
Thank you, Aster. And I have been lucky to meet you and connect with you. As Aster said, her urban farm is in downtown Indianapolis, near downtown Indianapolis, which is in Marion County, Indiana, which is the county where I work with 4-H. And Aster has just you've been a wealth of history for me as I've started this job. But I also appreciate your perspective on new and innovative ways that we can engage underserved youth whose voices often aren't heard in our traditional 4-H program. And I wanted to say thank you for bringing that perspective. But the main reason that we are here today with Aster is for her to share with us some amazing stories and her connection to Ethiopia and the travels that she has taken there. So as we do at the start of every CultureCast, we always start off with the country's flag and where the country is located. This is the beautiful flag of the country of Ethiopia. We are filming this just a few months before the Tokyo 2020 Olympics take place, although they'll occur in 2021. So if you see this flag during the Olympics, hopefully you will remember that it represents the country of Ethiopia. Here's a map of the continent of Africa, and Ethiopia is in green, located on the eastern part of the continent of Africa. Just a few quick facts for our viewers about the country. It's about just under twice the size of the state of Texas. So to give you a little bit of reference, it's a really big country. It has the second most populous, it is the second most populous country in Africa, right behind Nigeria, and has a population of about 111 million people. And Aster, I love history, and so I always like reading a little bit of history about our countries. And I was surprised to find out that Ethiopia was actually one of the few places in Africa that didn't spend a lot of time as a colony of another country. They maintained their autonomy except for about a 5-year stint in the early 1900s from Italy. And I think our viewers need to know that because they're going to see how some of the rich culture of Ethiopia, how that's very unique to the country. And I think part of that's probably because, they were able to maintain their autonomy. So Aster, let's dig in here. You're the main attraction. We want to hear from you. Aster, tell us about your family and your connection to Ethiopia.
Yes, I was born in Ethiopia and I grew up there, attended an American high school, and I came to the United States in 1973 and attended Franklin College, and then from then on to IUPUI and all of that. So for Ethiopia, I go back and forth. The history of Ethiopia, as you mentioned, yes, during those 5 years of the Italian War, there's all kind of this issue, was Ethiopia colonized or not colonized? It's more of when a country is under war for all of those 5 years, it wasn't colonized, it was just through the war. So either way, in those 5 years, my mother was alive and she told me a lot of history. In this picture, this was taken in 2019 when we had a visit about 20 days. My mom is 92 now. So on our last day, we got all the Ethiopian culture clothes, or even with our clothes, Ethiopia is embedded. History and culture and all of that is part of the faith. So the clothes has all the cross. Everything we do has the cross. It just really showed the faith in the country, and including even the way the government is run. So we visited, we really had a great time. But one of the things is when Ethiopia was not colonized, what happened for years? The first war of the Italian War was in the 1800, the Battle of Adwa. Right at that time, when the Italians lost, what they did was every country around us was colonized. So it became where Ethiopia has a name with the hidden empire. We didn't know anybody outside, and the world didn't know us. So we got closed in. So, but at the same time, every history, everything that happened, we just lived. It was preserved, the faith, the church. A lot of churches, saints and disciples from so many different part of the world, they were afraid of persecution and they came, including the Muslim. Muhammad sent his family to Ethiopia for refugee where they were being persecuted. So that's how a lot of people don't know us.
No, I didn't know that either, Aster. So thank you for sharing that. You have a beautiful family. And as I think with most families, food is such an important piece of getting everybody together. So tell us a little bit about what we see in this photo and some of the cuisine that one might come across in Ethiopia.
Food is eaten as a group. We have the basket, people sit all around, and then we eat using our natural forks, fingers, and it's a flat bread. The bread is made of teff. That's the grain that really grows only in Ethiopia. Now it is spread into so many different parts of the world now. They have been growing it. So it's a thin bread, and all the food, meat or vegetable. We have the meat. If we have vegetable, we do not mix vegetable with meat, but we have both. According to our faith, there are about 250 days we are vegan out of 365 days.
Wow.
And so that's why you cannot mix vegetable and meat together, because there's vegan days, 2 days a week, Wednesday and Friday is vegan days, and then name it. So the diet is all kind of vegan recipe as well as meat recipe. So we all eat together. In here, if you go to the monastery, in the monastery, they are mostly vegan. They really don't eat meat. In monasteries, nuns and monks are always eating only vegetables. So here you see the bean soup, a lot of the vegetable mix, the greens, but always the flat bread, like on the plate, and then you put the other food, the vegetable dish over it.
Aster, is the grain that you mentioned, is it that color? Is that why the bread is like a dark purple or kind of blackish
yes, so
color?
Now the bread, teff depending where it grows, way on top of the highlands or lower, there's darker or lighter. There's an ivory part of F, and this is the more darker one. So
Okay.
they say, now I haven't really researched to find, they say the darker F has more iron. It's loaded with iron. I think a lot of, let me give you a history. They use F in the horse industry to feed the horses.
Huh.
So it does have a lot of iron, a lot of nutrition, and everybody teases us about running all the time. And that's where it comes from. But anyway,
I didn't think about that connection. Yeah.
F is loaded with iron. Yeah. So
I forgot that. Yeah, your country is well known for its runners. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Runners. Yeah.
So thanks for making that connection. Well, aside from the food, I know if I'm going to go to a country, I want to see its natural beauty, and you've got some amazing photos to share. So tell us about the waterfall.
Yes, this is Blue Nile Falls, and grew up there, but 2019 is the first time I saw it with my family. It's just beautiful. This whole scenery, it's so many mountains. I grew up in mountains, so I climbed all the time. So it is very hard to be in Indiana. And, I miss the mountains. So we hiked, we just did so much. And this tops everything. And
so I'm curious, have you been to Southern Indiana before?
No, are there mountains?
Well, some would call them mountains. I just call them big hills, but I'd be interested to get your interpretation of that. So, I mean, this is beautiful.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see that. But I actually went to Colorado to visit my friend, and I said, why didn't you tell me to come to Colorado?
No, those are mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, those are mountains.
Tell us about this really unique place that you can visit.
This is really beautiful thing. I always told people when I came here, I always say, why is it that in Ethiopia it feels like we can reach the mountains, and why do the stars, we can reach the stars? But I say here they're so far away, but I didn't realize it's the mountains. This restaurant is built on top of a mountain. So we climbed, and then we sat there through the night watching the stars. It was just like you could really stretch out. And of course, technology is so great right now. My kids have all these things on their phone. They were saying, they connected and said which star that is. They were getting the names right away, and it was beautiful evening.
Wow. That's gorgeous.
So that's really a great one. Oh, these houses. I miss these Tuco houses. They are made of thatch roof. The mud they prepare. I was part of doing, when I grew up, we were all part of building these houses. You take mud. It's just like making dough. You take that, you put straw in it, you keep stomping it for days, and then they will make the wall, and the floor is just like cement because you're going through that process. And then the roof is that roof. There's a process, the way they put them. So there's no rain that's going to go in, but the breeze can go through it.
Well, we were talking about this before we started recording this, Sarah. I remember when I was in Kenya, I was so surprised at how cool, as in temperature cool, it was when you walked into these homes. Yes. And there's no air conditioning. Even the windows sometimes were very small, but it was the height of the roof, that really allowed the air to rise and for you to get good ventilation. So
very cool. Yes.
Yeah. You were talking about the mud. Did you reinforce the mud with any kind of like sticks or anything?
The guys, they will build the stick straight up, and then they will connect the sticks on a straight line with twine.
Okay. So like a frame.
Yeah, they will have the frame first, and then we will put the mud over that wood frame.
I'm looking at this picture, Esther, and thinking like, this sounds so nice right now, because there would be like no electricity, no Wi-Fi, no one could bug me on my phone or computer in this beautiful scene. So it's just gorgeous.
It's peace. This is
this structure.
Yes, this is King Faisal's palace. It's a compound. So when there is I can't remember, is it 3 of them or 4 of them? So once he has his compound, he builds one for each of his children. So they have as many of the numbers in there. He was an amazing king. He built these palaces, very unique. Every detail on it, it will tell you the story of the Bible. So the heads will say 12 disciples. So just all of these things, very much, they're all in detail. He also built the church in Aksum. This one is in Gondar, in the little western part of Ethiopia. So he was a very architectural king, that he just liked to build buildings. So that was fun in Gondar. And this is one of the churches there. The churches are really, all the walls are full of icons with beautiful colors. The reason that they are set that way is because for people do not read or write, but they will look at each of the windows, and that is a story, because those stories are repeatedly told in the church, and then they associate it with the icon. So many times people don't read, but you'd be surprised the way they tell the story. They look at the picture, they recite. So
Is there a unique piece of this photo too, I think, is that the women have head coverings on. Can you tell our viewers about that part of the culture?
Yes, women cannot walk into a church without covering. The covering is this long shawl. So we put it on our head and we wear that. We walk in. It's not even just the building. If you walk into the church compound, you really have to cover. And I remember growing up, I asked these priests, and I say, why do I have to do this? The boys are not doing that. And he just simply said, girl, you're too beautiful, and we want the guys to concentrate on God, so we need to cover. So that was the best description or answer I got. So I didn't fight anymore. I wore it.
That makes total sense. And from a guy's perspective, he probably has a point there. But that is a quick-witted priest.
It was great. Yeah.
So tell us about these. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Lalibela. It's one of the 7 churches. There are 7 of these where King Lalibela built one piece from the top of the mountain. He dug down in the form of a cross, and all inside out, where you sit, what you use, everything is one piece. 7 of them, and they're all connected in the underground. The people will all have to go in under, go through and enter. But the amazing part is during church service, like Christmas, we were there. People were sitting on top all the way around, and we were also sitting at the bottom. So it was full of people on top and at the bottom. So that process right there is like this. During the liturgy, this is how it is called. The people on top are the departed ancestors. Everybody that departed, God created. Everybody that's not here with us, God created. And us here on earth are praising him, saying, Merry Christmas. That's the definition of it. People choose to be either on top or down.
How do you actually get down in there, Aster?
Yeah, there is a ton of steps you have to go down. I guess I don't have that picture, but it's like you go down on steps.
And as a quick aside, I'd encourage our viewers to read or watch more into these structures. They are amazing. I watched a recent show, I believe it was on National Geographic, about the preservation of these buildings just due to erosion because of water and wind. But they're just beautiful inside and out. So, and these are just some amazing photos that you took as well. So
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about some of the amazing, rich, ancient history, but Ethiopia also offers some modern comforts. Tell us about that, Aster.
Yes, these are the hotels, just one of them where we stayed in. I wanted to put the picture in so people could really see the combination. Not only that you really feel like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere that I really have to live in a different way, but it's also there is a pretty much up-to-date hotels, like it would be the same whether you're going from United States or Europe. They really do have variety of foods that was different international. So you're not going to completely be isolated or not have something you're used to. So yeah, this is one of the hotel in the capital city of Addis Ababa.
So are you saying that if I visit Ethiopia, I could still get my American hamburger and fries somewhere if I absolutely needed it?
Yes, but maybe I can tell you a story about that one. My children, when I took them way back, not this last time, they were dying to have a hamburger. So I said, oh, here's a hamburger, let's go and eat. But what we didn't realize, well, I didn't even know, was the hamburger is there, but it's full of hot sauce and spice in it. They took a bite and said, Mom!
It was the Ethiopian version of an American hamburger.
Yeah. So it was a little bit different, but it was a hamburger.
Oh, that's great.
That was cute.
Well, Aster, I want to be sure that we spend a little bit of the time that we have together talking about an area and a group and people that you're really passionate about and that you have been dedicating time and resources to. So tell us about the young people that we see in this photo.
These are the students in the orphanage we work with at Sabata Nunnery. And in all of our 17 years of existence, one of the things that, I've always wanted to do was connect students from here to Ethiopia, and 4-H was the best way to do it. So because they have 19 acres so far, so they have the farm and we have a little bit 1 acre farm, but still, so that connected us for the history. How do they learn? How do we do things here? And how do they do things there? So it started with supporting the orphans, and then it increased for us sending a lot of the, about 2-3 we started out with was Purdue educators going there and teaching about soil and orchard and how to care and that kind of stuff. So it really is a beautiful thing for me. It's an amazing, it's just like my passion. Here, Scott from Purdue, he went there to teach about the orchard. One of the things we found out, they got donation of so many apple trees. So when Scott went there, he called me up and he said, do you know how they started having an apple in Addis? And I said, oh, somebody donated. But he said, it's really hard to have apple here because the temperature never gets below 50. So some of that not knowing, and that's why they were having a hard time. So he was able to provide soil, getting all the temperature connection before you plant. What do you need to do? It's mostly girls, but we did have one guy student there that work with. So their harvest, they work hard. All of these women, they work hard. And I was hoping to find sometimes you find them putting on their head and walking.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I didn't see them do that, so I didn't have a picture. But that's so cute, the way they carry it on their head.
I remember one time I was in Ghana and I saw a man carrying an electric generator on his head. I mean, something that probably weighs 50 pounds, and he's just walking with it down the road. I mean,
and then
I was amazed. No, I was absolutely amazed. They also got a really good chuckle out of the white guy trying to balance something on his head one time, as they used to call me, that, oh, look at the white guy trying to do it. But it's just, it's amazing how different cultures think about things and solve problems in different ways. And I think that's an example.
I would tell you, in Ethiopia, It must be the first Europeans must have been French. And so every European person that goes there and they look at, they say, oh, a white person, you are Farangi. It means you're French.
Oh, really?
Everybody's French.
That's so interesting. Just for any white person, that's what they...
Anything, say, you're Farangi. And so it
so
stayed and nobody changed it. Say, okay, yeah, they're Farangi, but they're not French.
And now it's just part of the language of the culture. It's fascinating. And as we wrap up our time together, Aster, you talked about the orphanage having the farm, but they're also doing some other amazing things, aren't they?
Yes, they're doing great. That's why I love the 4-H thing, because they're doing that. They have the loom. They make so many things to sustain themselves. Like I bought in like a lot of winter scarves, I bring with me. They make purrs, they make bedspreads, just a variety of stuff that, it's still in the plan. If there's a way to really bring it here, is the goal down the road of, what the girls do is amazing.
Gorgeous. Well, Aster, the final question I ask all of our guests, and this is how we will end, is tell the viewers, why should they visit Ethiopia?
Oh, you're going to find a lot of things that has not been told in the history. Like I said, we were closed in. Nothing went out, nothing came in. So when you go there, you're going to find so many things you haven't seen before, just like the churches, the 7 churches. This right here is called the hands of God. And it's just a stone. It's been there for years, but there's so many of them. And so as we drive, they tell you this is the first hand, and they have it connected to a certain part of the church history. And then we drive and we see the second one. So it's amazing. So you will be surprised so many thousand years of history that hasn't been put out to the world yet.
Yeah. And I've learned so much just from this time that we've spent together. And of course, I also want to say the food looked delicious at the beginning. So
You made me hungry putting that picture up.
That always gets me. But Aster, I want to thank you for what you're doing for youth, not only here in Marion County, but through the orphanage in Ethiopia. And I know you and I have talked about, working together in the future to try to get more 4-H youth connected and try to get some Purdue educators, hopefully myself, to be able to go over and visit as well. So thank you for what you do. And Patrick, as always, thanks for hosting us. And to our CultureCast viewers, thank you for joining. And we hope you will tune in next time to learn a little bit more about this big, beautiful, wonderful world that we live in. Take care.